This broadcast brought to you by the Shinra Electric Power Company. Hello, my little hackmons. So, as you guessed from the title, in this stream I'll be talking about my thoughts on some recent events that my channel missed. So, in order to make up for it, I'm just going to be doing that in one stream. And I've realized that people are probably tired of just watching me talk during streams. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start drawing some of my original characters I've created while I'm talking. And because this video is going to talk about both Pokemon and Final Fantasy, I've got some, let's just say I have a whole crossover world built up that I'll be ready to show you all. And so I'll be drawing some characters from that. So without further ado, I'm gonna stop blathering on, and I am just going to get to what everyone's waiting for. Alright, so the first one, I kind of just want to get it out of the way, is Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. And wow, I am so excited for this game. Like, yeah, it has a lot of naysayers and detractors, but oh my god, it looks so good. And I mean, come on, this is the first time we're ever getting actual online play, meeting other trainers in the overworld. Like, come on. This is groundbreaking for Pokemon. This is gonna be great. I don't care what, the fandom says. Oh, it wasn't Gen 1, so it's not good. This looks like a beautiful game. And I mean, this is gonna... Legends Arceus was amazing. This is gonna be a tough act to follow. But, I'm a strong believer in this game. I think it's could potentially end up being one of the best Pokemon games ever made. About the new Pokemon designs, I think they are so cute. I forget the olive guy's name already, but he's really funny looking. Lechonk? I can't believe they actually named a Pokemon Lechonk, but I'm here for that. But I think my favorite out of all of them has to be Pawmi, the little Pikachu, the Pika clone of this generation. I keep saying that he looks like a loaf of Pikachu. That's exactly what he is. And I love that. I love Pikachu loafs. Pikachu loafs are great. Yeah, overall, from what I've seen so far, this looks like an amazing generation of Pokemon. There's so much opportunity that's going on right now. And the legendaries as well. Legendaries look super interesting here. They look very technological, almost sort of a Genesect type look to them, which is interesting. Sort of giving me Pokemon Black and White vibes. But yeah, we'll have to see more details. I'm super excited for it. Oh, hello, Matt's Geek Corner. Hey there, I want to thank you for coming by the stream the other day. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, as I was saying, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet looks great. Super excited for that. I mean, that's all I can really say, because we haven't seen anything else yet. It just looks so good, and, by the time next trailer drops, I'll probably have, even more glowing praise to say about it. So yeah, that's Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. Now we're moving into the Final Fantasy side of things. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I had to, okay? So there's two big pieces of Final Fantasy related news that everyone's kind of talking about. One is a reveal trailer for Final Fantasy 16, and the other is the Final Fantasy 9 animated series that's allegedly in the works. And first I'm going to cover, you know, the big one, which is Final Fantasy 16. Now, the trailer looks really good. Like, if you thought 15 had impressive graphics, this looks really great. Like, this is like Kingsglaive level graphics. Obviously, we saw the summons are gonna be a huge part of this game, which is cool. But I don't really have any feelings about the characters themselves, because unlike, you know, all the characters I've been reacting to that have, you know, appeared in Final Fantasy games for years, I don't have an emotional connection to these characters yet. I mean, we don't know who the villain is. Come on, you know? Obviously that's what I want to know, you know? One, are they good looking? Two, are they just a cool villain? You know, I just love me a good Final Fantasy villain. So I'm really hoping, you know, 16 delivers. And I'm going to be completely honest here. Yeah, I talk about Sephiroth a lot, but honestly, Arden is my favorite. Not just my favorite villain, my favorite character, period, in the franchise. I haven't talked about him a lot, mainly because I want to reserve some of the stuff for some, well, just say, channel-related lore. I'll leave that one open to interpretation. But, you know, I love Arden a lot. If you watched the episode Arden Prologue video, I mean, you saw how much I love that guy. And I think Arden is going to be such a tough favorite character in a 35-year running franchise. I mean, I doubt that, you know, it's going to do that, and that's fine. It doesn't have to, you know. Not every character can be the next Arden. Not everyone can be as well written. But I'm just hoping that, you know, they're interesting and they're cool and, you know, they would make good content to react to for the first time. Which, you know, I kind of need that as, you know, someone who reacts to Final Fantasy content. I'm really hoping that we just have some cool characters, because that's really what I'm in it for. You know, a lot of the Final Fantasy games has a lot to do with, like, grinding and all that. And, you know, I like RPGs. Yeah, I'm a Pokemon person. But, you know, just spending time with characters I don't really care about, like Cloud and Tidus and all that, they're with you the whole game, and I don't really care about that, you know? I do these reaction videos so I could skip to my favorite parts, my favorite characters. So I'm interested to see, you know, will I be able to form that same connection that I've formed with characters from, you know, FF7, FF15, FF8? Will I be able to form that same connection with Final Fantasy 16's characters? Is what I'm wondering. And of course, the one thing that all the Final Fantasy fans are worried about. Oh, hey, I'm sorry I have to take off so soon, but I need to catch some sleep. When will you be streaming again? I don't know. I kind of stream irregularly, but good night. Good night. I hope you enjoyed the stream so far. Thank you for dropping by. I'm always happy to receive a little message or two. But anyways, a lot of thing that's got the Final Fantasy fan base worried is because of Final Fantasy 15 and, you know, how long that took to release, it being stuck in development hell for a long time. You're welcome. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Matsky Corner. Really appreciate you. Shout out. Because of FF15, you know, and how the whole versus 13 thing. Honestly, I find that whole thing, like, really fascinating. I know a lot of people were mad about it for some reason, but it's so interesting to me. If you've never heard about it, when you're done on the stream, obviously, look up Final Fantasy versus 13, because essentially, what we know as FF15 was originally a spin-off of 13, and then it evolved into its own thing when the 13 spin-off just kind of became stuck in development hell. But after that whole thing, a lot of Final Fantasy fans are starting to lose their trust in the franchise and wondering if 16's gonna come out soon. And my verdict on that is, you know, I think you should let the developers take their time to a reasonable extent, you know. If it's been, 20 years later, 10 years later, and still no news, then obviously, you have a right to be upset as a fan. But a delayed game is always going to be so much better than a rushed game. Because a rushed game it's not going to be polished. It's going to have bugs that might not make the game work in the first place. It's not going to be anywhere near as enjoyable as a finished product. So, I sort of get where some fans are coming from about, the 15 stuff, but really, everyone stop complaining, okay? Let's all just love Final Fantasy, because I love Final Fantasy. Let's all love Final Fantasy. Anyways, speaking of loving Final Fantasy, we're moving on. Look at that. Did the first drawing already. If you guys want to know who this is, I'm working on a Pokemon and Final Fantasy crossover called the Shinra Boys. This character doesn't officially have a name yet, but is kind of referred to in dialogue as the Bear Man. Now, I don't want to get into Shinra Boys spoilers before it comes out, but this man is very much a rival and antagonist to Reno. So, little sneak peek at what's to come there. So, anyways, as we finish off the Bear Man, we're going to be starting our third sort of topic of tonight, which is the Final Fantasy IX cartoon that's allegedly in the works. Now, I, for one, am super hyped. Like, if this is actually a thing that's coming out, and it's not just going to be, like, a project that was talked about, but never ends up coming out. Sorry to drink some Cloud Steers there. If this is actually a real thing, I am so excited because I love the movies and animes for Final Fantasy. There's just something about them. They're so good. They're so magical. They're so Final Fantasy. I don't know how else to say it. But, I loved Advent Children. I loved Brotherhood. I loved Last Order. Loved Episode R and Prologue. Kingsglaive, I didn't quite like at first, but I think after getting over, the initial thing of, Arden doesn't have too much screen time, I think after getting over that, I've kind of started to realize, like, hey, Kingsglaive actually wasn't that bad. I was just salty. Obviously, there's the Spirits Within, which I haven't watched it, but I have no reason to, because it has nothing to do with Final Fantasy. And I don't really care, if it's got the label, it's gotta have something to do with Final Fantasy. But I digress, and so I am super excited to have another piece of media in Final Fantasy's lineup of things that extend beyond just the games themselves. I think Final Fantasy IX is a very interesting choice of subject matter, because while the game is widely beloved by most of the fandom, I personally don't think it's as iconic and as well known as a Final Fantasy VII or a Final Fantasy X. I would think those characters and those games would be a little more recognizable to people. Like, even if you've never played Final Fantasy, you know who Cloud Strife is. You know, if you're in the gaming community at all, um, you just know who that is. You know, he's just an iconic gaming character. Um, so I think that's very interesting that they chose Final Fantasy IX, which is not necessarily um, a iconic game in and of itself, but is widely beloved by the fan base. And second of all, is the thing that has the whole fan base, you know, in a flurry, is apparently it's supposed to be marketed to, I believe the age range they said was like 8 to 13 years old. Um, and, you know, everyone's like, oh no, you know, it's going to be for kids. Now, I think this can go either way. This this could, you know, become one of those things that's, you know, marketed to kids and it's awful because they're just trying to make a quick buck. But this could actually end up being like one of the best children's programming shows of the decade. I'm not lying. Like, this could be the new My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. You know, this could be the new cultural phenomenon that's allegedly for kids, but then people of all age ranges get into it. I think, you know, I think this idea, this show has a lot of potential, and you know, I'd be very excited to see where that potential goes. But at the same time, they could also really screw this up big time. And apparently, a lot of why it's geared towards that age range is because they wanted to introduce Final Fantasy to a younger generation. And that's a lot of people are saying that, you know, 9 isn't exactly the best choice because it has a lot of dark themes about death and grief. And I understand where they're coming from, but I think kids media that deals with that kind of stuff, they're often the bravest ones of all to even dare to touch upon that subject, because, you know, the moms online have a character die in a Disney movie, it's all way inappropriate for children. um you know, it can be hard to strike that balance. um so I'm hoping, you know, if they do touch on those things, this cartoon gets it right. You know, they do it in a good way. Um, but, you know, the people complaining about, oh, it's going to be too dark. Well, what Final Fantasy game it isn't dark at some point? I mean, come on. You know, you got Final Fantasy 7, you know, corporation gonna destroy the world. Final Fantasy 8, awesome evil witch, who is my Dissidia main, is gonna take over the world. I'm totally not biased. Final Fantasy 9, obviously you have death, grief, you have Kuja. Final Fantasy 10, if you could somehow make a kid show out of that, I would be amazed. I You know, I'm not saying it won't work because it totally could, but if you can adapt that into like 8 to 13-year-old age range, holy sweet mother of Sephiroth, man, you are something else. So I don't really see, you know, the complaints about it's too dark, because every Final Fantasy game is dark. I mean, even Dissidia to an extent. And I haven't played or seen much footage of World of Final Fantasy besides, you know, adorable baby Sephiroth. I love him. Anyways, other than baby Sephiroth, I haven't seen much of World of Final Fantasy, so I wouldn't know, but I'm assuming, you know, even though it's the chibi game, I'm sure, you know, it's got some like deep philosophical stuff in there too. Um you know, so I don't really see the arguments about it's too dark, because what Final Fantasy game could you adapt that isn't dark? I mean, there's been talks of like, oh, they should do Kingdom Hearts or something like that, but like even Kingdom Hearts has some pretty emotional moments as well. Um, So I honestly don't see where those complaints come from. Sweet Mother Sephiroth, I just went on this huge tangent. I am so sorry. I lost track of time. But I'm gonna keep streaming. Because there's more Final Fantasy stuff I want to talk about. Because I always want to talk about Final Fantasy. Da 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 da. I'm badly singing to the Chocobo theme because I have nothing better to do. Prompto is so much better at this than me. I think I'm gonna stop now because that sounded terrible. Anyway, so FF9, I'm excited for it. I'm not a Zidane, call him whatever you want. I'm not a fan of his. I don't care for his character at all, and I especially do not like him in Dissidia. But I'll be interesting, to see if this show will actually make me come around on the character. Kind of like y'all know if you were here for sorry, drinking Cloud's tears again. If you were here for the original Crisis Core videos, you saw the Genesis stuff about how originally I was like, yeah, Genesis freaking sucks. And they're like, hey, Genesis is freaking good looking. And how at first I was like, oh yeah, Zack's bad because he's a hero. And I'm like, I'm still Team Shinra, but I must admit, Zack is really funny. Me? Gungaga! I mean, come on. It's hard not to... stupid lead breaks. Oh, forgot to introduce last character. Meet Moreau. Obviously, she is some form of cat girl, but she's not as cute and pretty as you would expect. She is Rufus Shinra's girlfriend, meaning that, she is not exactly gonna be the friendliest character I've created, but to be fair, I don't really think any of them are particularly friendly. Anyways, was I talking about coming around on Zack, yes. I ended up, Zack's not one of my favorite characters, but and he's not one I give much thought to, but I enjoy it when he's around. I think he's Brady F. Hey, what's up, dude? Hey, what's up, Brady F? Good to see you. Good to see you, Brady F. What was I saying? Remember me? I'm Anna's older brother. No. Oh, yes, I do. Hello. Thanks, just stopping by for a bit. You're welcome. Hello there. I actually think I could change the shape of the eye, because I had a great idea. Okay. Sorry, lost my train of thought again, but that's okay, because losing... Yep. Pit gang. Pit gang. I like losing my train of thought, because then it leads to better ideas. So, as I was saying, at first I really didn't care for Zack at all, but then I ended up thinking he was pretty funny. And what I was saying before that long tangent is, I'm wondering if the cartoon is going to make me feel the same way about Zidane. I don't care how you say it, it's the same guy. We can just say, Monkey Kid, and everyone's gonna know who we're talking about. So yeah, that's, also, if it follows story of the game, guess who we're getting? It's that cutie Kuja, and I am so excited if, they actually put him in the series. I don't know, I just have this, bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. Pit, go Pit, best marching band section, hey. I just have this bad feeling in the pit of my stomach that they're gonna somehow try and reduce Kuja's role in the plot and the game. I don't know, I just think, classic comedy, 5 out of 5, thank you. Looking for crayons, don't mind me. I just think, what everyone's saying about the subject matter of the original game and the cartoon that will most likely follow the plot of the game. Kuja has often been talked about as a very nihilistic character, and something tells me that they're not going to want to explore that in this show. It'd be kind of a hard thing to talk about to the kiddies. Not these kiddies, just, the kids. But I'm hoping, that he is in there in some capacity, because I love Kuja. I haven't talked about him much, but he is so adorable. No, I think kids should be... No, I think kids should be... Hang on. No, I think kids should be exposed to nihilism. It's New philosophy, or was it 1880? Dude, you were so right. Hello, Mr. Black Gamer. Oh my god, that's probably one of the funniest comments I have ever received on this channel. Congratulations, Brady F, you absolute comedian. Anyways, before talking about exposing kids to nihilism, Lamau, I try, thanks. Realizing it probably looks really bad on me for saying that the nihilist character is adorable. I've made a comment on, I think it was Final Fantasy Union, shout out to them, their video about Kuja, and I was like, oh, I love Kuja, he's so adorable. And I think someone, can't remember the username, so unfortunately can't give credit, but somebody said, nothing more adorable than committing genocide and slaughtering an entire planet, am I right? That just, I know that was supposed to be roasting me for my opinions on Kuja, but that made my day. That was so freaking funny. Obviously, as a Final Fantasy villains lover, I get them a lot. Oh yeah, I belong at the planet, how cute. But this is my fantasy, this is my story. So yeah, Kuja. We spent a long time talking about that, but you know what? I'm just gonna keep going, because you know what? This is my fantasy, this is my story. This is, I don't know. This is my stream. Next subject matter we're talking about, FF7 Remake Part 2. We haven't really gotten any official announcement from Square or anything, but everyone's like, hey, it's been a couple years since Remake Part 1. When are we gonna get that sweet, sweet Remake Part 2 news? And I'm just hoping as soon as possible. Like, really. I want it to be as soon. Wait, has it already? Yeah, Brady, it's been 2 years, because Final Fantasy VII Remake came out in 2020. That year we don't talk about. But thankfully, Final Fantasy brought some light to us all in these trying times. I know it definitely really helped me. Jesus, dude, I am old. The remake, of course, not the original. That would really be a trip if the original came out a couple years ago. Probably people calling it, saying it looks like an indie game. Ha, yeah, that's an old man's game. Heard it here first. If you played Final Fantasy VII, the original, you're an old man. So Remake Part 2, Square hasn't said anything about it, but we're all excited, and so am I. I mean, come on, you saw the mod videos, you saw shirtless Reno. You know dang well that I am ready to see the Shinra boys, not those Shinra boys, but I am dang ready to see the Shinra boys back in action. And I'm hoping that we'll get them back in action as soon as possible. And so now I'm going to talk about stuff I want to see in Remake Part 2. Obviously none of this is going to be really gameplay focused, it's all story and character focused. If anybody here hasn't played FF7 Remake and wishes to, one, you probably shouldn't be clicking on any of my videos with an FF7 character in the thumbnail, because they're all out of context. And two, probably don't watch this part of the stream, because I might be talking about some potential spoilers. Don't know what you consider spoilers for Remake Part 1. Are you gone now? Aerith dies. Okay, good. Good. Okay. Lamau, we can't all get our heads on a PlayStation. Isn't it on Xbox too? Or just watch someone else play the game. That's what I do. Okay. So, I don't know. So the first thing, but rip Aerith, yeah, F in the chat for Aerith. Great theme music. Aerith is terrifying, though. I mean, if you've seen any of my videos on Aerith, you know how I feel about her. And of course, speaking of Aerith and speaking of music, it's gonna make me break out in song. I know I've seen you before, I don't recall anymore. My claps are totally offbeat. Why did I start it this way? I mean, I'm in Pit. I should know the rhythm of that song because I play it all the freaking time. But anyways, I think the first thing I want for Remake Part 2, obviously this is a very, very minor complaint, but I want more Rufus Shinra. I just do. I loved his character. I mean, for a multitude of reasons. I mean, okay, we can, the fact that he's very good looking aside, one, he's very smart. He's got very big brains. He's very economically minded, knows how to run a company. This guy's too fat. Yes, take this out of context as you please. He's very Rufus Shinra is very business smart, knows how to run a company. He's a very skilled fighter. He's also got, gigantic guns. Guns, the weapon that fires bullets. He's got 2 of them, and they are massive. He's got those 2 big coins. Yeah, Rufus Shinra, he's great. I want to see more of him. I mean, we got a lot of Reno already, but you can't say no to more Reno. Come on. It's nothing personal. Obviously, more Sephiroth. Of course I'm gonna be asking for more Sephiroth. Hello. What else was I thinking? Okay, besides more of attractive Final Fantasy men. Let's think about this for a second. Okay. Everyone's talking about if they're gonna do the will they, won't they with Aerith's death. I want them to do it, not just because, Aerith is freaking terrifying, but also because it'll be so interesting to see such an iconic gaming moment recreated in a remake, and to see how the fan base is going to react to that. Remake has such beautiful graphics, and I think the Aerith death could look amazing. Something else. I was gonna say something else. Let me think. Shirtless Sephiroth? No, that wasn't it. We did a Boys Cloud is no more. No. Ah, got it. I want them to tie in, the FF7 mythos a little bit more. Obviously, in the Yuffie DLC, we had Nero, which I wasn't aware he was from a previous game. But now I kind of want to make some reactions to that, because I really enjoyed Nero. Thought it was a fun character, and same with Vice. And so I'm hoping they tie in the mythos of FF7 a little more, which would also mean Genesis, baby. Yes, that is my Genesis. I mean, obviously, first priority with Genesis is they have to retcon Not My Genesis. It's a funny meme, but it really does not make sense in the context of the franchise. Ooh, I thought this would be a darker green. We'll roll with it. We could just scrap this design. Not My Genesis is a funny thing to laugh at on my channel, but in the context of Final Fantasy, it's just weird. Why does he have a different voice in Dirge of Cerberus than he does in Crisis Core? And I know, like, the real reason, you know, about voice acting and all that, but canonically, you know, in universe, why? Why does he have a Spanish accent and sound like Meta Knight in one game, and then sound perfectly fine in the next? You know, can't do your, you know, Simpsons, a wizard did it right here, you know. FF7 crew, you got some big explaining to do. You know, I think it would be nice to see some of that lore come back together. And I mean, again, I'm not too 100% on Final Fantasy VII lore, but I'm pretty sure from what I remember that Genesis somehow ended up I don't know if Dirge of Cerberus. Yes, I know how to speak. I don't know if Dirge of Cerberus is a prequel or sequel to FF7, first of all, and then Crisis Core. But isn't Genesis... I believe... at the end of one of them, I think it's the Dirge of Cerberus one, Genesis is shown to be alive at the end, and it's supposed to be like the big reveal. So if he's alive, where's he now? And I'm hoping that Remake can answer that question for us. Because I want more Genesis, and I think the Crisis Core characters would look great in HD graphics. You know, this may seem a little far-fetched, but I would be down for a Crisis Core remake with FF7 remake graphics. What was I saying? Crisis Core, something. Alright, let's talk more about remake. Stuff I want to see, stuff I don't want to see. First of all, sorry for the interruption. Quick question, do you play Pokemon Showdown? Yes, I do. I was playing Pokemon Showdown for a lot off screen, but I may, you know, consider doing some videos again. Love Showdown. Shout out to my Showdown crew. Let's see, where is the red crayon? I'm all here talking about video games and while searching for the red crayon. How did... oh, there it is. Okay, I was gonna say, how do you have... Ooh, hit me up if you ever want to play. I want to be YouTube famous. Sure. Yeah. Red crayon on Final Fantasy. So, things I don't want to see. This is, you know, mainly a joke. But no more Hojo, please. Like, yeah, he might be plot relevant, but just no. Nobody likes Hojo. Ah, messed up. Should have put the orange there. Let's freaking roll with it. No one likes Hojo. He's just, yeah, he's a villain and that's great and all, but he's just awful, you know? I fully believe in separating characters' actions from them as a character, but with Hojo, he's just, you can't. I mean, yeah, Sephiroth is, you know, gonna destroy the planet and all that, but at least he's good looking. I'm honestly not even sure if Hojo is human. Like, I mean, they've never confirmed nor denied it, so we don't even know. But yeah, just no more of him, please. I think it's evidently clear the fan base doesn't want to see him back. And I am totally okay if, you know, they, like, quietly kill him off. Illegal. Imagine our legal system works like that. Well, I tried to just argue with that logic. I mean, sorry, got a plug in my phone. All of the Final Fantasy characters, you know, I obsess over, they're pretty awful human beings, but their character designs, I just love them so much. I love them so much that, you know, I could separate who they are from their designs. But, you know, just it's time to just drop Hojo out of the narrative. Why am I even spending time talking about him? I mean, I know I'm definitely gonna drop Hojo out of the narrative, and some big thing I'm working on. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Okay, hand. Just got. Virtual punch. Um, but yeah, it's time to retire that character. Speaking of other characters in FF7, again, kind of a joke, but please no more Yuffie. I mean, have her as a party member, or something. But in addition to being a creep, Yuffie is, I just didn't enjoy her presence. I found her very annoying. She's a psychopath ninja girl. And, ninjas are cool, psychopaths are cool, but when you put the two of them together, it just didn't really mix well. I don't know, I just didn't enjoy the end result. That being Yuffie. So, don't make her a huge part of the narrative. She had her time in Intergrade. Yeah. Oh my god, this stream is 40 minutes! Yo, this is my longest video ever! I'm still gonna keep talking, okay? Final Fantasy is my passion. And I'm just going to roll with this. Congrats, thank you. What else am I excited to see in Remake Part 2? Yes, I'm gonna stretch this topic as much as I can. I'm trying to say something that, like, I actually unironically want without it being, a joke from my channel or something like that. Oh my god. Okay, Reno shirtless. No, that's not it. I'm as you could see, I'm stalling for time here. Okay, things I unironically want in Remake Part 2. Oh, can we get the frogs from original FF7 in Remake Part 2? If you don't know, that Get Nade meme that was popular on the internet a while ago, that was from Final Fantasy VII Original. And, gaming companies, they like to, go all in with the memes, like Pokemon Twitter, very good at it. So I think it'd be hilarious if they brought back Get Nade Frog. Thinking, dude. Wait, let me see. Sorry, I missed that comment. Dude, I want Chrono Trigger crossover DLC with a fully rendered Lavos. Never played Chrono Trigger, or really seen anything about it, but yeah, I've heard good things about it, and I love any kinds of crossovers I can get my hands on. Dissidia fangirl, hello. It's wonderful. Good to hear that you enjoyed a Square Enix game. I'm totally not being paid by Square Enix right now. Some people call it Square Enix's best. Press X to doubt. No way. You are not coming in here with that take that the Lamau, in case you want to try something new. This is a Final Fantasy only stream. No, just kidding. You can like whatever games you like. Quality is subjective. But yeah, I'd be all for some crossovers, unless if it's Final Fantasy 15's Cup Noodles, which, if you don't know what that is, just look it up. It's awful. Essentially, quick rundown is Final Fantasy 15 did a crossover promotion with Cup Noodles, the Japanese noodle brand. And they literally had a character in a Cup Noodles hat. Yes, a Cup Noodles hat. So, you know, as long as it's not that, then I'm cool with whatever they come up with in terms of crossovers. So yeah, I think I've spent enough time rambling on and on. Thank you everyone who came to my stream. As you could see, whoopsies. Last piece of art is a thank you for coming to my stream, Matt's Geek Corner, Brady F, Mr. Black Gamer. Bye bye, my little hackmons. Thank you for tolerating me rambling about Final Fantasy for almost an hour. Thank you. See, your name's on the paper. You'll be immortalized. And I mean, come on. Have a good night, Lamau. That Kuja nihilism joke. I couldn't even speak. That was so good. But bye my little hackmons. I hope to do more of this soon. I'm full of them. I'm full of some nasty jokes too. Bye. This broadcast, officially sponsored by the Shinra Electric Power Company, is over.